Assalamu alaikum attendees. Very much apology due to the late starting of the session. If you can hear me, can you please raise your hand? Can you please raise your hand in case if you're able to hear me? There's a technical glitch. Yes. Okay, so we are going to start our session. Uh, just bear with me. Naam salli ala Rasool Kareem. We are really sorry. We wanted to start a session on time. I was here, and our colleague from ACC, she was trying very hard, but due to the technical issues of this webinar services which are providing by GoTo webinar, there was a kind of technical glitch और जिसकी वजह से ये सेशन थोड़ा डिले हो गया उसके लिए बड़ी माजरत आई होप यू अंडरस्टैंड कि ये जो सारे टेक्निकल मामलात होते हैं जिसमें टेक्नोलॉजी का रोल होता है उसमें बाज़ का देर सवेर हो जाती है आज हमारा जो सेशन है इट्स अबाउट डिज़ाइन थिंकिंग. Before we start our session, I'm going to give you a brief introduction of myself. I'm a chartered certified accountant. I have 10 years experience on my fund. I have an expertise in entrepreneurship, accounts, finance, and taxation assurance. Nowadays, I'm taking care of my own organization with the name of Global Corporate Associates, where we are providing services in accounts, advisory, tax, uh, bookkeeping, process outsourcing, and Sharia compliance. This session is carried out. जो हमारा पिछला सेशन था एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप के ऊपर, ये उसी के ही आगे एक लिंकेज है, क्योंकि जो हमारी एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप और आईटी की जो सब कमेटी है एसीसी की, वहाँ इस सब कमेटी के थ्रू हम इस चीज़ को काफ़ी ज़्यादा कोशिश की जा रही है कि किस तरीके से हमारे मेंबर्स के अंदर एक स्पिरिट, जो एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप का स्पिरिट है, उसको इनकलकेट किया जा सके. और बीइंग एन एंटरप्रेन्योर, जो जो आपकी ज़रूरियात हैं कि एज बीइंग एन एंटरप्रेन्योर व्हाट यू नीड एंड व्हाट टूल्स यू नीड टू बी इक्विप्ड विद, वो सारे टूल्स आपको मुहैया किए जाएं और आप अपना आगे एक बिजनेस इनिशिएटिव ले सकें. डिज़ाइन थिंकिंग जो है ये एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप के अंदर एक बड़ा इसका एक अहम रोल है, और इसका जो सारा मामला है वो बेसिकली है इट्स अबाउट योर थिंकिंग. व्हेन यू आर ट्राइंग टू कंसीव एन आइडिया कि किस तरीके से हम इनोवेटिव आइडिया लेकर आएं और एक बिजनेस को स्टार्ट कर सकें, जिससे मतलब है कि हमारे मुआशरे के अंदर जो एक ऐसी सोशल जो एक गैप है, या जहाँ पे एक बिजनेस काम नहीं कर रहे, उन चीज़ों को किस तरीके से सोचा जा सके. उसके लिए सबसे पहली चीज़ क्या है जी कि आइडिया इज बेसिकली एवरीथिंग which we see around, which we feel, that is because of an idea. कोई भी चीज़ अपनी इन्वेंशन के अंदर या जो एक नई इनोवेशन हो रही है, दैट इज बिकॉज ऑफ एन आइडिया. आइडिया बजाते खुद तो एक बड़ी एब्स्ट्रैक्ट सी चीज है, उसकी कोई फिजिकल कोई एग्जिस्टेंस तो नहीं है, बट उस आइडिया की वजह से हमारे जो कितने सारी चीजें, जो जिस चीज को भी हम देखें, दैट हैज केम टू इन एग्जिस्टेंस बिकॉज ऑफ एन आइडिया. और इस आइडिया की बिजनेस के हवाले से भी बड़ी इंपॉर्टेंस है. और कुछ आइडियाज ऐसे होते हैं कि जो हमारे जिंदगी के मुख्तलिफ मामलात के अंदर मुख्तलिफ शक्लों में हमारा साथ दे रहे होते हैं. फॉर इंस्टेंस इफ वी से द इन्वेंशन ऑफ अ व्हील, कि ये जब एक पहिए को तख्लीक किया गया, अब वो that is in our part of our life overwhelmingly in different shapes and different situations. अब गाड़ियों के अंदर देखें, व्हील के जरिए और कितनी सारी चीजें हमारे ये इन्वेंशन मुख्तलिफ चीजों में इस्तेमाल हो रही है. सो आइडिया हैज इट्स इम्पोर्टेंस. और जिस तरीके से आगे आगे हम देख रहे हैं कि एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप का एक लोगों के अंदर उसका इकोसिस्टम इट्स डेवलपिंग एंड ग्रोइंग माशाल्लाह, उसी लिहाज से having a valid idea, having an idea of a business which is need of the hour, उसके लिए फिर हमें कुछ टेक्निक सीखने की जरूरत है. Having a business idea is easy, it is very convenient, you bring an idea, but the idea, is it worthwhile pursuing? उसके लिए हमें कुछ ये टेक्निक्स हैं जिनको अगर हम सीख लें तो उससे हमारा जो बिजनेस के हवाले से वो एक अच्छे अंदाज से चल सकता है. और एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप का जो जर्नी है बाय इटसेल्फ, इफ यू से कि जी मैं एम्प्लॉयमेंट को छोड़कर अपना एक बिजनेस स्टार्ट करना चाह रहा हूँ, दैट इज ड्यू टू द फैक्ट कि इस चीज का हमें ख्याल आया, ये हमारे जहन के अंदर इस चीज का इदराक हुआ कि ठीक है जी, इनफ ऑफ द एम्प्लॉयमेंट, नाउ आई एम गोइंग टू स्टार्ट माय ओन थिंग. तो entrepreneurship by itself is a product of idea of having your own business. Innovative idea जो है that can lead you to success. और हमारे लिए आइडिया के ऊपर जो इतनी सोच विचार जो की जा रही है, उसकी जरूरत इसलिए है कि इफ यू आर परसुइंग फ्लॉड आइडिया, अक्सर औकात पिछले सेशन में भी इस हवाले से बात हुई कि वी फील लाइक जी एग्जीक्यूशन इज एवरीथिंग. Even if your idea is flawed one, a successful entrepreneur, you cannot execute a flawed idea successfully. उसके अंदर कुछ ऑल्ट्रेशन करनी पड़ेंगे, कुछ चेंजेस लेकर आने पड़ेंगे, but you have to work around this idea. So in entrepreneurship, idea is really paramount status. तो हमारे जो ये सोचने की सलाहियत है, जितनी भी क्रिएशंस है, जितनी मखलूक़ात हैं सारी, जितनी अल्लाह रब्बुल इज़्ज़त ने इंसान को सोचने की सलाहियत दी है, दिस इज इन ह्यूमन बीइंग्स, और दिस इज ऑल्सो कंसीडर्ड एज ह्यूमन एज, कि हमारे पास एक सोच को समझना और उसको सोचना, ये इंसानों के अंदर इस चीज़ की पॉसिबिलिटी है. एंड हमारा इंसान के अंदर ही ये इस चीज़ की एबिलिटी है कि ही कैन कंसेप्चुअलाइज एनीथिंग विच इज इवन नॉट एग्जिस्टिंग. तो ये सोचने की सलाहियत जो है, ये बड़ी एक अहम चीज है. और थिंकिंग एंड बीइंग अ थिंकर, मतलब है कि दिस इज समथिंग विच इज एब्सोल्युटली फेबुलस. और इट इज वेरी एप्ट टू से देयर वाज a French sculptor named as Auguste Rodin. उसने एक मुजस्मा तख्लीक दिया जिसका नाम उसने फ्रेंच में रखा हुआ था लीपेंसियर, द थिंकर. वो बेसिकली इंसान की सलाहियतों को डिपिक्ट कर रहा है कि बीइंग एबल टू थिंक, दिस इज वी शुड यूटिलाइज दिस एबिलिटी इन वेरी वेरी हेल्दी वे. अब ये जो सोचना है, हम हमारी जो सारी सलाहियतें हैं, ऑल द सेंसेस वी हैव, uh, for instance, all the 5 or 6 senses we have, उससे हम मुख्तलिफ औकात के अंदर मुख्तलिफ इंफॉर्मेशन हमारी इकट्ठी हो रही होती है, and that information is being stored consciously subconsciously in our mind, और वो एक पैटर्न की शक्ल के अंदर that is being stored in our memory. और ये जो सारी याददाश्त और ये जो सारी मेमोरी हमारे जहन के अंदर इकट्ठी हो रही है, उसका, उन पैटर्न्स का हमारे लिए कुछ फायदा भी है, कुछ नुकसान भी है। फायदे की चीज क्या है कि जब कभी हमें कोई सेम सिचुएशन से दोबारा गुजरना पड़ता है, वो इमीडिएटली हमारे बैक ऑफ द माइंड वो सोल्यूशन और वो एक्शन वो हमारे जहन में आ जाता है कि इसी सेम सिचुएशन के अंदर कैसे डील किया गया था पहले, और अब भी उसी तरीके को अगर अपनाया जाए तो इस मसले को हल किया जा सकता है। This really assists us in quickly applying the same action and knowledge in similar situation. लेकिन अब ये वाली जो हमें इसका प्रो मिल रहा है, इसका कौन भी है, इसकी नेगेटिव एस्पेक्ट ये है कि जो पैटर्न हमारे जहन के अंदर, जो इनग्रेन्ड थिंकिंग, जो इनग्रेन्ड मेमोरी है हमारे जहन के अंदर, वो हमें बाज़ एक नए तरीके से सोचने की जो हमारी सलाहियत है उसको भी सलब कर देती है। Most of the time, like if we are going through the same situation, we will act upon the way we have acted before. हम उन्हीं चीजों को अप्लाई करेंगे जो हम पहले कर चुके हैं। लेकिन उसके लिए अगर कोई एक नया सोल्यूशन, इफ यू आर फाइंडिंग अ न्यू सोल्यूशन एन इनोवेटिव वन, उसके लिए यू नीड अ न्यू स्पेक्टिकल, फ्रेश पेयर ऑफ आइज। अब वो मसला जो है वो हमारी इनग्रेन्ड थिंकिंग की वजह से दैट इज बीइंग potentially prevented. Okay, we won't be able to develop new ways of understanding the problem or solution of the problem. अब ये एक मसला है ingrained thinking के हवाले से। If we borrow a psychology term which is called schema, yes, schema. This schema is these patterns which we are developing in our mind. In psychology they are called schema. अब ये स्कीमा जो है बेसिकली इट इज अ सेट ऑफ इंफॉर्मेशन। अब ये सेट ऑफ इंफॉर्मेशन एंड अ रिलेशनशिप बिटवीन थिंग्स, actions and thoughts. This has very vast information and that are stimulated and initiated in human mind when we encounter some environmental stimuli. हमारे जहन के अंदर एक तरीके से एक सिचुएशन रिकॉर्डेड है, और जब भी कोई बाहर के माहौल में कोई ऐसा स्टिमुलस हो जिससे कि वो हमें इनिशिएट कर दे कि जैसे कि फॉर इंस्टेंस इफ यू से वी नो कि जी बिल्ली किस तरीके से है, उसकी 4 टांगे हैं, देयर वुड बी फर, अ टेल, शार्प टीथ। तो अब जैसे ही ये बिल्ली की प्रेजेंस एक माहौल में, एक एक्सटर्नल एनवायरनमेंट में मौजूद होगी, we can instantly recognize कि जी बिल्ली, या the cat is there। और ये किस वजह से हुआ? Because there was a recorded perception, a whole pattern in our memory which we, अगर ये लिंक जो बाहर के स्टिमुलस का लिंक अगर थोड़ा सा वीक भी हो, धुंधला भी नजर आ रहा होगा, but we will immediately recognize कि जी this is the cat, और उसकी प्रेजेंस को हम रियलाइज कर लेंगे। अब ये सारी जो बात चल रही है ये बेसिकली इनग्रेन्ड मेमोरी के हवाले से बात हो रही है कि हमारे जहन के अंदर ये इनग्रेन्ड मेमोरी चूंकि होती है, और पहले से जो चीजें हमारे जहन में मौजूद है वो हमें इनोवेटिव थिंकिंग से रोक देती हैं। दैट विल बार अस फ्रॉम फाइंडिंग अ सॉल्यूशन इनोवेटिवली, और फाइंडिंग समथिंग न्यू, और डीलिंग विद सेम सिचुएशन डिफरेंटली। इस चीज को ओवरकम करने के लिए देयर आर डिफरेंट टूल्स एंड टेक्नोलॉजीज व्हिच आर बीइंग डेवलप्ड, and if we use these tools we'll be able to think very innovatively. और ये सारी तमहीद का मकसद इसलिए है कि हमें अंदाजा हो कि जो डिजाइन थिंकिंग है, this design thinking is going to help us to find a new solution, to think innovatively for existing problems. इसी चीज को अगर हम आगे डिस्कस करें कि when you are trying to find an innovative solution, you need to think outside of the box. This term has been said many times and it has been in front of us. You need to think out of the box. But thinking out of the box can be a real challenge as we naturally develop pattern of thinkings. And it could be like, when we are trying to find out a solution for a sticky problem, तो उसके लिए फिर हमें इनोवेटिवली सोचने की जरूरत होती है. अब चूंकि हमारे जहन के अंदर एक सोच, एक ख्याल जिस तरीके से पहले प्रवान चढ़ा हुआ है, उस सोच के खिलाफ जाना, चैलेंजिंग द एक्सपर्ट विद इन यू, दिस इज वेरी डिफिकल्ट. क्योंकि हमारा जो इंफॉर्मेशन बैंक हमारे जहन में बन जाता है, nobody is willing to say कि जी मैं गलत हूँ. They're not willing to accept the challenge. They're not willing to accept that somebody is raising a question mark on my thinking. This is the nature of humankind. तो इसलिए मतलब है कि we need a fresh mind when we are looking for a solution for any problem. We are going to take an activity, but before that activity, I'm going to tell you a story. This activity is okay. Now, if you access your browsers, and you will be able to write down the address. This is bit.ly /dt JTACCA. If you access that address, you will get a questionnaire in front of you. And I want you to answer this solution for this problem. The problem is कि जी एक ट्रक था and the driver was driving it, और जनाब वो सफर करते करते उसने एक अंडरपास से गुजरने की कोशिश की, और ड्यू टू मिस कैलकुलेशन और हिज रोड ड्राइविंग, वो उस अंडरपास के नीचे से गुजरने की कोशिश के अंदर हुआ ये कि उसकी ट्रक की हाइट ज्यादा थी, ब्रिज से वो गुजर नहीं सका. अब वो गुजर नहीं सका तो जनाब उसका ट्रक दैट वाज स्टक अंडर द ब्रिज, और जैसे ही वो स्टक हुआ, एक जो रेस्क्यू की कॉल थी दैट वाज ओरिजिनेटेड एंड द रेस्क्यू टीम्स वर डिस्पैच्ड टू द लोकेशन. अब फायर फाइटर्स भी आ गए और जनाब रेस्क्यू टीम भी आ गई. दे आर थिंकिंग अबाउट कि किस तरीके से इस ट्रक को यहाँ से निकाला जा सके. लेकिन ट्रक जो था इतने बुरी तरीके से फंसा उसमें कि इट वुडंट बी पॉसिबल कि वो ट्रक उस ब्रिज से आसानी से या रेस देने से या पीछे करने से निकल सके. या तो मतलब है कि उसको ब्रिज का कोई हिस्सा कुछ तोड़ा जाए या ट्रक के ऊपर वाले हिस्से को काटा जाए, कोई इस तरह के सोल्यूशन सामने आ रहे थे. Now, if you are in this situation, I want you to access the address of this form, और वहां पर जाकर अगर आप अपने responses को रिकॉर्ड करें and you give your responses कि जी किस तरीके से आप इस situation को हैंडल करना चाहेंगे. तो I will give you 5 minutes time. Think about it and start recording your responses. I'm trying to access the sheet in which your responses will be available. Just bear with me. Any issues with accessing the link? I'm getting the responses. If there is an issue, probably this is due to the fact you are not putting it correctly. This is bit.ly, bit.ly, lay forward slash, it's DT, which is design thinking, and JT ACCA. If you access the link with this address, you will be able to get the form in front of you. Well, the time is up, and let's see the responses. Few of you have responded, Kiji, dismantle the part of the truck. If you said, Kiji, if you get the air out of truck tires, that will be lower the truck and will be easy to come out. Uh, Dismantle the truck, unload the truck, chip away the parts of the bridge, remove tires, and use lifting and pulling the cranes in order to pull back the truck, release air from the tire, chip away the parts of the bridge. Well, this is the whole activity. The purpose of this activity was कि हम इस चीज को थोड़ा समझ सकें कि looking at the same situation, अब वहां पे इस सिचुएशन के अंदर जो मेजॉरिटी ऑफ द सोल्यूशन वाज और हमारा भी अभी जो एक हमने एक फॉर्म लिया, उस फॉर्म के जरिए जो हमने देखा कि मेजॉरिटी सोल्यूशन था कि डिसमेंटल कर दें, या फिर या तो ब्रिज को थोड़ा बहुत उसको चिप अवे कर दें, या ट्रक को अनलोड कर दिया जाए. So in that specific story which I was narrating to you, there was a guy standing next to these rescue guy, और उसने कहा कि जी why not we can take out the air from the tire और फिर उसको आगे लेके जाओ, and that was the perfect solution. अब जो एक नौजवान साथ खड़ा हुआ है, he doesn't have the experience, he doesn't have the he hasn't run any rescue operations, he haven't got the expertise to deal with the situation, but these rescuer or your firefighters, they were able to uh, do it in a better way. But the thing is कि हर situation के साथ जिस situation को भी हम deal कर रहे होते हैं, with that situation हमारे जहन के अंदर एक उसका पैटर्न डेवलप हो जाता है, द स्कीमा व्हिच वी वर डिस्कसिंग बिफोर. अब उस सारी एक स्कीमा और उस पैटर्न की वजह से sometimes we won't be able to think innovatively to a situation like this. अब दिस वाज अ वेरी परफेक्ट सोल्यूशन कि जी टायरों में से हवा निकाल दें और आसानी से आप ट्रक को अपने गुजार लें, एंड दैट्स व्हाट दे डिड. एंड और माशाल्लाह हमारी ऑडियंस में से भी काफी सारे अहबाब ने इसी यही बात की है. तो मतलब कि वेरी अप्लॉज टू यू. और उस हवाले से जो बात हम करना चाह रहे हैं वो आपके सामने है कि हमें वी नीड अ न्यू स्पेक्टिकल if we're looking into a situation again and again. We need a fresh view, a fresh mind, or we need to reboot our thinking. Well, say, having said, there is a video I'm going to play for all of you. Let's see if I can. This is a situation which also calls for a reboot for our thinking. अब एक बच्चा है जी कि उसका सर फंसा हुआ है, एंड दे ट्राइंग टू कि जी उसको किसी तरीके से बाहर निकाल दिया जाए. ये वीडियो जो हमने देखी कि the problem is the problem is there, and there were, like, two gentlemen who was trying to rescue this little kid. अब वो अपने हिसाब से उसको पुश कर रहे हैं कि जी सर को किस तरीके से निकाला जा सके, और मतलब कि और वो बच्चा वहां से बाहर निकल आया. सो ये this is all about कि this problem which we have on the table, we're trying to solve it, but we are trying to solve it with the same way, with the way which we have done it before, the way which we are trying to conceive it from our mind. तो वो सारी मसले को हम हल करना चाह रहे हैं बिल्कुल उसी तरीके से जैसे कि हमने पहले किया हो. इसलिए we need a new pair of eyes, we need a fresh pair of eyes, कि हम उससे अपनी एक सिचुएशन को देखें और उसको हम एड्रेस करें in a different way. दिस इज द होल कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ डिजाइन थिंकिंग. डिजाइन थिंकिंग जो बेसिकली इसका मकसद ही यही है कि हम किस तरीके से अपनी प्रॉब्लम्स को इनोवेटिवली सॉल्व कर सकें. If we think the concept of the design thinking, it's like, coming up with an idea, it's very easy, but coming up with the right one takes work. It really does. So with design thinking, what we are trying to do, we're throwing out what we think, and starting from scratch opens up all kinds of possibilities. हमारे लिए जो एक अपनी मतलब we need to unlearn in design thinking कि जो आपकी पहले से ही assumptions हैं, उन assumptions को तो आपने बिल्कुल ही साइड पे रखना है. You have to start from scratch and start thinking about the process to solve any any situation. अगर हम इसकी typically, if we say कि theoretically what really design thinking is, it's an iterative process in which we seek to understand the user. Number one, the point number one is we seek to understand the user, challenge assumption, our existing assumptions, we challenge that, and redefine the problems in an attempt to identify alternative strategies and solutions that might not be instantly apparent with our initial level of understanding. कि इसके अंदर एक चीज क्या है कि it's an iterative process. Again and again you're considering, you're thinking about the situation or a problem, or you have to understand the user, the problem, the end user of that situation, the user of that specific product which we are going to float, or service we are thinking to provide. In an entrepreneurship perspective, we need to understand our user, and we have to challenge the assumptions, which the assumptions we have due to the fact of our ingrained thinking, and we have to redefine the problems. अब ये सारा जो एक सारा methodology है, this is the design thinking. This will help us to think innovatively. अब आज के जो हमारा सारा सेशन है, इट्स वेरी स्ट्रक्चर्ड सेशन. इसमें एक तो हम क्या कर रहे हैं कि एक तो हम वे अंडरस्टैंडिंग व्हाट डिजाइन थिंकिंग इज and what are the tools or methodology of design thinking. Number two objective is we are uh, going to do it step by step. I want you guys to participate in this session as well. अभी आगे हमारी मुख्तलिफ एक्टिविटीज आएंगी. And the number three is we are going to go through a case study of design thinking, जिससे हमारा ये टोटल जो एक डिजाइन थिंकिंग के हवाले से जो सोच है वो उसमें काफी क्लैरिटी आएगी, एंड वी विल बी एबल टू यूज दिस मेथोडोलॉजी to find out new ideas. So this is the design thinking, and the most important thing is it's absolutely not a myth. It's a factual based, and there are steps involved which you can implement by yourself, and you can find the solution for your problems. You can find uh, innovative idea, and you can find an innovative idea for your product or services which you're going to launch. So it is a way of thinking. It's like, it's a way of thinking and working and exercising the skills associated. There are different kind of skills which are associated with this methodology, which we call the design thinking. And we need to first learn those skills. Then we have to exercise those skills to utilize this tool. ये सारा जो मामला है, दिस इज अबाउट द डिजाइन थिंकिंग. अब डिजाइन थिंकिंग जो है, हमें फायदा उससे क्या हो रहा है? द बेनिफिट्स ऑफ डिजाइन थिंकिंग, इट्स फॉस्टरिंग द क्रिएटिविटी एंड इनोवेशन. मतलब है कि हम एक पर्सपेक्टिव से ही सोच रहे होते हैं एक मसले का सॉल्यूशन, बट डिजाइन थिंकिंग enable you to think creatively and innovatively. With the use of design thinking, you will be able to remove the blinkers and consider alternative solutions. और इसी process के जरिए ही मतलब कि we will be able to challenge our assumptions, the expert within us, the situations which we are dealing before. It's very hard to challenge your own understanding. And the best part of design thinking is कि इस सारे process में it is very human centric कि जो भी approach होगी, जो भी whatever design you are thinking, human would be first. कि आपका जो एंड यूजर है, आप उसके किस मसले को हल कर रहे हैं, उसको क्या प्रोडक्ट आप मुहैया कर रहे हैं जिससे एंड यूजर को क्या फायदा पहुंचेगा. दिस इज द बेनिफिट्स ऑफ डिजाइन थिंकिंग. एंड नाउ डेज डिजाइन थिंकिंग इट्स लाइक कि हर जगह इस चीज को इस्तेमाल किया जा रहा है. बड़ी बड़ी ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस, फॉर इंस्टेंस एप्पल, गूगल, सैमसंग, जी, दे आर यूजिंग दिस टेक्नोलॉजी, दिस टेक्निक, and they are designing their products in a way कि वो human centric हो, उनके user centric हो, and that is very innovative as well. Innovation is still there, but you need to cater the needs of the end user. और design thinking को तो it's like being taught in various Ivy League universities. You can say it is Stanford, Harvard, MIT, different schools के अंदर इसके courses चल रहे हैं. और it is not only for the designers. When we say the design thinking, it's probably for the designers who are designing the solutions, who are designing the products. It's for everyone. People from different walks of life, they're using this technique and methodology, and they are finding new innovative solutions or products. Art, literature, music, science, engineering, business. कितने सारे businesses के अंदर design thinking, as being an entrepreneur, as being starting your business. Nowadays many incubation centers, they run the sessions for design thinking क्योंकि इसकी importance है. You can think innovatively. If you have already an assumption in your mind, if you had designed your product by yourself, you can validate it through this technique. So this is very important. Design thinking जो है इसके basically there has been formed on 4 principles. Design thinking की जो अपनी formation है, that has been based on 4 principles. Number 1, it's the human rule. कि whatever you are designing, it would be human centered. कि जिधर भी जिस aspect से और जिस solution के हवाले से भी आप इस technique को apply कर रहे हैं, this solution would be human centered. और उसकी जो आप product design कर रहे हैं, that will be human centered. It will be human focused product or services. The ambiguity while you're using this technique, it will be always ambiguous. You wouldn't be clear. And if you think you're utilizing your assumptions which you have made before, अपने हवाले से आपने कोई चीज सोच रखी है कि जी ये जो प्रोडक्ट है इसके अंदर ये फ्लॉज हैं और ये बेनिफिट्स हैं, तो उस सूरत के अंदर मतलब है कि you wouldn't be able to utilize design thinking to in a very optimum way. Ambiguity will be there. With every step you will be able to find the new aspects of solution or product or services. There is the rule, redesign rule. That means every design you are making, every product or every service which you are thinking about, it is the redesign of the existing design. You are replacing the one product with another product, one service with another service. It's like human needs are same. इंसान की जो ज़रूरियात है वो एक वक्त के साथ वो उसकी बेसिक जो कोर है वो वही है, दैट इज नॉट चेंजिंग. अब उसके लिए उसकी ज़रूरियात को फुलफिल करने के लिए जो मुख्तलिफ किस्म के सॉल्यूशंस या मुख्तलिफ किस्म की जो प्रोडक्ट्स अवेलेबल हैं, इफ़ यू आर थिंकिंग अबाउट अ न्यू प्रोडक्ट, अगर कोई बंदा किसी का एक्सीडेंट हो गया है एंड वो जो है मतलब कि यूजिंग अ व्हील चेयर, so he has to use a wheelchair for commuting. But the thing is कि अब उस व्हील चेयर को आप रिप्लेस कर रहे हैं, if you are thinking about a new thing for disabled guys, तो वो मतलब कि ultimately you are meeting the same need of mobility. So the thing is redesign rule. You are whatever design you are making, it is ultimately the redesigning of existing designs. And the fourth one is the tangibility rule. डिजाइन थिंकिंग के अंदर जो सबसे अहम प्रिंसिपल है, दैट इज द टेंजिबिलिटी, कि जो भी प्रोडक्ट या सर्विस आप सोच रहे हैं इट शुड बी टेंजिबल. मतलब कि फॉर इंस्टेंस इफ यू आर कंसिडरिंग टू स्टार्ट टेक्नोलॉजी एप्लीकेशन, इट वुडंट बी कि सिर्फ आप पेपर के ऊपर सोच कर बैठ के उसका सोल्यूशन और अपने हिसाब से आपने उसको बना लिया. दैट यू हैव टू डेवलप अ प्रोटोटाइप, you have to develop a beta version, and that beta version would be being utilized with your audience. आप अगर कोई जैसे व्हील चेयर की बात करें, अगर आपने कोई नई किस्म की चेयर आपने डिजाइन की है, तो यू हैव टू प्रोड्यूस वन प्रोटोटाइप. द टेंजिबिलिटी शुड बी देयर, क्योंकि जब टेंजिबिलिटी होगी देन यू वुड बी एबल टू थिंक अबाउट इट वेरी कन्वीनियंटली कि इसका कौन कौन से मामलात हैं जिसके अंदर कोई मसाइल है या क्या क्या चीजें हम चेंज कर सकते हैं. So these are the four basic principles on which design thinking is formed, and these are the principles. If we talk about the steps which are involved in design thinking, these steps are different. In many schools, they are using 4 steps. Some it is ranging from 4 to 8 steps, which are involved in design thinking. But जो में आज जिसको हम यूटिलाइज कर रहे हैं और जो मेजोरिटी जिसको यूज किया जाता है, दैट इज स्टैनफोर्ड डी स्कूल मॉडल, विच इज बेस्ड ऑन 5 स्टेप्स. अब उन 5 स्टेप्स को लेकर हम आगे अपने इस सेशन को लेकर चल रहे हैं. Which 5 steps are involved in design thinking? Number 1 step is empathize. Number 2, define. Number 3, ideate. And number 4, prototype. And fifth one is a test. We will be surely going in detail with every single step. But these are the 5 steps which are involved. If I give you the history of design thinking, डिजाइन थिंकिंग बेसिकली पहले ज्यादातर जो था, ये जो कॉन्सेप्ट जो इसकी यूटिलाइजेशन थी वो दैट वाज अमंग द डिजाइनर कम्युनिटी, इंटरफेस डिजाइनर्स, द यूजर एक्सपीरियंस डिजाइनर्स, प्रोडक्ट डिजाइनर्स. लेकिन there's a guy named as Tim Brown. He is the CEO and the chairman of IDEO. He published an article in 2008. अब वो article जी that was published in Harvard Business Review, in that journal. उसके बाद it became a buzzword. Different departments, different businesses or individuals from different walks of life, they started considering design thinking. And now the thing is कि जिस तरीके से हमने पहले इस बात को डिस्कस किया कि बड़ी बड़ी जो organizations हैं, when they are designing their product or services, they are using this design thinking model. So these steps, empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and the test. These 5 steps. अब ये सारे जो steps हैं, it's not a linear model कि आप अगर समझें कि it would be a linear process कि जी पहले बंदा empathize करेगा, then define and ideate. Like when you will be testing, you will coming back to the step 1. As we said earlier when we were discussing the definition of the design thinking, it's an iterative process. You will be thinking again and again. Once you have built a prototype, that doesn't mean कि जी यहाँ पे हमारा काम खत्म हो गया. You will be testing your prototype, and once you test the prototype, you will be able to see कि जी इसके अंदर जो हम एक जो मसले को जिसको रिजॉल्व करना चाह रहे हैं, जो हमारी प्रॉब्लम है, जो प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट हमने पहले बनाई होगी, ये वाला जो प्रोटोटाइप है उस चीज को एड्रेस नहीं कर पा रहा. देन यू विल कम बैक टू द ideation process. You will be thinking again कि यार किस तरीके से हम इस specific मसले को हल करें. So the thing is, these design thinking steps are uh, these are not like okay, in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You could be like number 4 and come back to number 1. You'll be like sitting on number 5 and come back to number 3. So this depends upon the solution and the output of your test or like prototype. While you will be preparing a prototype, आपने एक आइडिएशन की स्टेज पे आपने सोचा कि जी हमारा प्रोटोटाइप जो है वो probably that will be costing less amount, लेकिन उसकी जब आप प्रोटोटाइपिंग कर रहे होंगे, जब आप उस चीज को बना रहे होंगे, हो सकता है आपके बजट से वो इंक्रीज कर जाए, या जो मकसद के लिए आपने उस मटेरियल्स को यूज किया उसका आउटपुट डिजायर्ड ना हो, then you will be coming back to the process number 1, the step number 1. So we're pretty much clear about KG. There are 5 steps of design thinking. Number 1 is empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test. Now we'll go through each step individually, and you will be involved in this whole process. I'll be asking you to later on to access a certain address and start giving answers. So this kind of activity will be going on. So the first step is empathize. Now empathize, क्या empathy basically, empathy जो है, this is something you can say कि जी ये कोई सिर्फ एक ये जो trait या characteristic of empathy, this can be learned. Through research, it has been proven that for this specific trait of empathy, only 10% of the population they have it genetically, and the remaining 90% they can learn this feeling of empathy. And what empathy is, you are pushing yourself in others' boot, others' shoe, and you are feeling and realizing their issues and problems. This is what empathy is. And in design thinking, the very first step you can say is empathy. You need to empathize the need, the solutions required for the end user. As the Tim Brown, he said, the empathy is the heart of design thinking. This is the very core of design thinking. Without the understanding of what others see, feel, and experience, design thinking is a pointless task. अगर आप कोई अपना बिजनेस शुरू करने लगे and if you are not well aware of your end user, the market whom you will be selling your product, तो it's the chances are very odd कि वो बड़ा कोई successful तरीके से चलेगा. You need to think about the end user of your business, the products which will be utilized by your clients and customers. So feeling others need and others requirements and how they feel and what sort of product or services they require, this is very important, and in this importance in design thinking as well. Now what we say is कि जी, the best thing about design thinking, that is human centric approach for problem solving. जिस मसले को भी आप लेकर चल रहे होंगे, जिस प्रोडक्ट को भी आप डेवलप कर रहे होंगे, it will be ultimately addressing the human being. वो आपका जो solution होगा, that will be used by the human beings. So you need to empathize. आपको ये समझने की जरूरत है कि how the need of other users, the end users, उनकी ज़रूरियात क्या हैं और वो आपके प्रोडक्ट से what they are expecting out of your product. And for empathizing, you need to set aside your assumptions and get real insight about the user. अगर आपके जहन के अंदर if you have an ingrained thinking कि अगर हम इसी एग्जाम्पल को ही आगे लेकर चलें कि जी जो व्हील चेयर है that is the must have for the disabled person, or it should be like having 4 wheels or 3 wheels, जिस तरीके से भी है, अगर आपकी पहले से ही कोई assumption आपने बनाई हुई है, so you wouldn't be able to think innovatively. So first you have to unlearn, first you have to set aside your assumptions, and you need to start it from scratch. uh, Empathizing, it involves to find more about the areas of concern through observing. When we say कि the empathizing, the art of empathizing, how to learn this attribute of empathizing, this can be learned through practicing various activities. This is one of the soft skill which is commonly shared between the EI, emotional EQ, emotional quotient, and emotional intelligence, and among this design thinking as well. So these soft skills, we should start learning these skills. This will be really helpful for our careers, or like businesses we are going to have in future. Now, how you can empathize, how you can feel the need of your end user. First thing could be you need to observe. Now, when we see observing is in a way, in observation, this is more or less kind of you're listening with your eyes. You are listening with your eyes. You are understanding and observing the need of your end user. So you must have a strong observational skills, and you should be engage your end users. आप जिनके लिए प्रोडक्ट या सर्विस डिजाइन कर रहे हैं, या जो बिजनेस आइडिया आप लेकर आ रहे हैं, you should be having interviews, conducting interviews of end users. You should start understanding the need of the end users, and when you'll engage, you'll be able to understand uh, very conveniently. Immersing yourself in the physical environment, it means कि अपने आप को उस माहौल में लेकर जाएं जिस माहौल में आपका एंड यूजर है. If you are manufacturing a wheelchair, and you should go to these individuals कि जो हॉस्पिटल्स के अंदर हैं, and go to those individuals जो कि व्हील चेयर को यूज कर रहे हैं. If you're trying to transform a wheelchair, you must have interviews with those individuals जो उसके यूजर हैं, और उनकी करंटली जो प्रोडक्ट वो यूज कर रहे हैं उसके बारे में उनकी क्या राय है, उससे क्या उनके शिकवे हैं, क्या इश्यूज वो फेस कर रहे हैं. Then you will be able to think innovatively and try to find a solution which will be helping them, which will be giving them more facility and flexibility of use. So the thing is कि हमें उनके माहौल में जाकर उस चीज को समझना होगा. अब empathy building model is कि the empathy interviews, you need to interview your end users. Immersion and observation we have already discussed कि you have to go into that environment and feel the real need of your end user. Go and meet the extreme users. If we can say, for example, if you're building some sort of a product which is relevant to bicycle, so you must meet the extreme users of that specific product which you are trying to innovate. अब कोई बंदा शौकिया तौर पर अगर साइकिल चला रहा है, और कभी कभार जनाब वो महीने में एक दो बार अगर साइकिल को चला लेता है शौक के तौर पर, तो उस बंदे को उस साइकिल चलाने के हवाले से जो मसाइल दरपेश हैं उसको वो ज्यादा अंदाजा नहीं होगा बनिस्बत उस बंदे को कि जो रोजाना कम्यूट कर रहा है इस साइकिल के जरिए. अब इस साइकिल के अंदर क्या मसले आ रहे हैं, क्या परेशानियां हैं, अब रोड और पॉपुलेशन की वजह से क्या क्या मसाइल हैं. सो गो एंड डिस्कस द प्रोडक्ट विद द एक्सट्रीम यूजर. जब एक्सट्रीम यूजर के पास जाएंगे, ही वुड बी एबल टू गिव यू द insight, the real insight of that product or the service. Ask this question: what, how, and why. मतलब कि you should be asking these questions during your interviews with the end users कि जी what are the issues they are facing, and ask them कि जी आपके हवाले से अगर ये जो मसाइल आपको दरपेश हैं, इन मसाइल को हल करने के लिए आपकी इसके क्या राय है. व्हाट डू यू थिंक कि किस तरीके से इन मसाइल को हल किया जा सकता है. एंड वट एवर द सिचुएशन सजेशन दे गिव यू, यू शुड बी आस्किंग व्हाई कि इस अगर इस तरीके से इम्प्लीमेंट करें तो उसके क्या आउटकम हो सकते हैं. सो दीज आर द फ्यू methodologies which you can utilize for empathizing, for realizing the need of the end user. So इन अगर हम तरीकों को इस्तेमाल करें, we would be able to understand the real need of the end user. Now there is an activity. I would like you to access this address. This is the same kind of address. It's bit.ly / DTCYCACCA. I will repeat it again, bit.ly / DTCYCACCA. This is a kind of activity you will be answering the questions कि आपकी जो आपने आइडेंटिफाई की होंगी the area of concern, the business idea you have, उसके हवाले से कुछ क्वेश्चन है उसके अंदर मौजूद है. And I would like you to access this and answer the questions, because if you will be able to give the answers, we will discuss those answers and it will build up, and you will be going with like every single step. We don't want in a way कि जी हम आपसे वो सारी टेक्निक को डिस्कस करते रहें और बाद में मामला वहीं पे खड़ा रहे. So please access this address. I'm just putting time, like 10 minutes timer. You can conveniently access this. Meanwhile, if after answering these questions, you can go for the namaz. We're going for Salah break for the 15 minutes. We'll resume after 15 minutes. So we're back. Uh, Hopefully, you guys would have accessed the link and would have provided the answers for the solution for the problem you are considering to pursue. So this was about the empathy. If we move ahead, the second step is define. Now, in define, what we are trying to do is we are trying to define the problem. We're trying to build up a problem statement कि जिस एम्पैथी की वजह से जो हमारे पास एक सारा डेटा इकट्ठा हो गया कि जी यूजर्स को ये मसाइल हैं, they are looking for such and such kind of product or services. Now that would be a data which we need to synthesize and we need to point out कि क्या ऐसी ज़्यादा मसाइल हैं या कौन से ऐसे मसाइल हैं जिनको अगर हम एड्रेस करें, so that could be turned into a very successful business. So when we'll be synthesizing all these findings during the first step, it will be very convenient for us to funnel down the problems the end users are facing. So by doing that, we will be actually trying to develop a point of view or a problem statement. In problem statement, we would be reframing the problem, which will lead to open new or innovation solution space. इस प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट के जरिए हमें अंदाजा होगा कि किस तरह के मसाइल हैं और किस तरह की प्रोडक्ट की सर्विसेज की ज़रूरत है कि जो एंड यूज़र की ज़रूरियात को पूरा कर सकेगी. Now, when we will be trying to reframe our problem statement, it would be very helpful अगर हम इन चंद पॉइंट्स को अपने जहन में रखें. We need to focus on the user. कि जब हम प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट बना रहे हो, it should be regarding the need, regarding the human need. कि वो ह्यूमन सेंटर्ड हो, जिस तरीके से हम इस चीज को पहले जिक्र कर चुके हैं कि इट शुड बी ह्यूमन सेंटर्ड product or services. When you are trying to reframe your problem, when trying to reframe the when you are trying to define the problems, so you should must keep in mind the end user and keep it broad. It shouldn't be कि हम जो problem statement बना रहे हो उसके अंदर कोई technicalities include कर रहे हो कि जी अगर हम कोई व्हील चेयर बना रहे हैं तो उस व्हील चेयर के साथ इतनी कैपेसिटी की मोटर लगी हो कि जो कि इतने आरपीएम पे चल रही हो. सो अवॉइड दीज टेक्निकलिटीज. दिस इज जस्ट एन एग्जांपल व्हिच आई एम गिविंग यू कि जो भी आपकी प्रोडक्ट या सर्विस व्हिच यू आर थिंकिंग. फॉर इंस्टेंस, if we have a look what you have responded in choose your challenge. In this challenge, no, there's a challenge. It says कि the difficulty of wheelchair persons to go in everyday core places, banks, schools, malls. So this is a problem identified by our attendee Hira Jalal. So if we say कि वो इस प्रॉब्लम को या इस तरह की कोई प्रोडक्ट को डेवलप करना चाह रही हैं, so it should be she should be keeping it broad. वो ऐसे ना हो कि जी उसके अंदर आप कोई टेक्निकलिटीज डाल रहे हो या कोई अपनी आपकी जो प्रजम्पशंस हैं उनको आप इंक्लूड कर रहे हैं कि जी चेयर इस तरीके की होनी चाहिए या इसकी लुक कैसे होनी चाहिए या इतने व्हील्स की होनी चाहिए, उसका वेट कितना होना चाहिए. द प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट शुड बी ब्रॉड. यू शुडंट गो इनटू इंटीग्रिटी एंड मेक इट मैनेजेबल. अब हमारी प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट हमने कोई जनाब बना ली और हम उसको उसके लिए अब कुछ सोल्यूशन हम सोचना चाह रहे हैं. अब हमारी प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट है ही इतनी वास्ट कि हम उसके लिए कोई एक सोल्यूशन के ऊपर अगर हम ना आ सकें, तो वो जो मकसद है अपनी प्रॉब्लम को डिफाइन करने का वो वहां पे खत्म हो गया. सो इट इज वेरी मच नेसेसरी कि जब आपकी जो प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट शुड बी हार्डली लाइक 2 or 3 issues you are trying to cater with your product. It shouldn't be a very vast statement, otherwise it wouldn't be manageable. So these are the few things we should keep in mind when we are trying to compose, when we are trying to write down the problem statement. And there are a few methods in which we can improve our problem statement. अब उसके अंदर एक है कि जी there are 4 W's. If you are trying to develop a point of view, if you are trying to develop or define a problem statement, you should be using this 4W technique. There are many more techniques, but we are discussing few just to give the flavor कि जी what design thinking is and what kind of methodologies and methods are included when you will be utilizing this technique. So 4 W's is who is experiencing the problem. If you're trying to compose down uh, your problem statement, you must be asking yourself who is experiencing the problem, who is your end user, who will be utilizing your product if you develop. What is the problem? उनको अभी जो existing को product अगर वो use कर रहे हैं या कोई services वो ले रहे हैं, किसी accountant से वो काम करवा रहे हैं for instance, तो उस accountant के साथ या उस product को जिसको वो use कर रहे हैं, that is in their use, उसके अंदर उनको क्या मसाइल पेश आ रहे हैं. You should be asking this question. It will be leading you toward writing down a very meaningful problem statement. Where does the problem present itself? अब ये हमें इस चीज को सोचने की जरूरत है कि जो मसला उनके सामने आ रहा है, is it some sort of like the physical issue कि physical presence है उस मसले की, कि जैसे व्हील चेयर वाली एग्जांपल है तो उसके अंदर कि जी उनको चेयर के ऊपर या उसको मोबिलिटी के लिए उनको किसी अलग बंदे की जरूरत होती है, तो वो उसका क्या क्या मीडियम है. इज इट फिजिकल इशू और समवेयर अराउंड कि जी कोई डिजिटल इश्यूज जिस तरीके से होते हैं कि कुछ सर्विसेज ऐसी होती हैं कि ये मसाइल उनको पेश कहाँ पर आ रहे हैं, इस चीज को हमने एनालाइज करना है. एंड वी हैव टू वी नीड टू ट्राई टू फाइंड एन आंसर ऑफ दिस क्वेश्चन. एंड द 4 W's, द लास्ट W इज व्हाई डज इट मैटर. अब इस सारे सिनेरियो के अंदर जो भी आपने पिछले आंसर्स आपने बिल्डअप किए, अब उस सारे सिनेरियो के अंदर इस सारी सिचुएशन में इसका मकसद क्या है, इसकी इतनी अहमियत क्या है. अगर तो कोई चीज अहमियत की है, then you should be employing your resources on finding a solution for this problem. अगर उसकी अहमियत ही नहीं है, अगर कोई ऐसी नेग्लिजिबल चीज है कि जिसको उसको इतनी इम्पोर्टेंस नहीं दी जा रही है और हम उसके ऊपर अपने सारी तगदो कर रहे हो और सारी सलाहियतें उसके ऊपर खपा रहे हो, तो ये चीज भी हमें एनालाइज करने की जरूरत है. सो दीज थिंग्स विल हेल्प अस टू अंडरस्टैंड the issues. It will help us to reframe the problem of the end user. There is another technique which is called the 5 whys. अब इस 5 whys के हवाले अभी आपने पिछला एक लिंक एक्सेस किया होगा. If you have opened that tab in your browser, that's good. If you don't have that tab in front of you, I will place it in front of you. That is bit.ly at DTC. DT is design thinking, CYC choose your challenge, ACCA. So in nutshell it is DTCYC ACCA. If you can access this address, there would be an example of 5 whys. और उसके अंदर जो बात है कि if you are asking the question, let me open it in front of me. When you're trying to access the form, please keep in mind the alphabets are cap sensitive, so you need to write it down in capital. So there is a technique of 5 whys. You repeatedly question. अब वहां पे जो एग्जाम्पल हमने लिखी है उसकी ये है कि if you say कि there is a person who is going for work और वो सुबह को जनाब वो अपने ऑफिस जा रहे हैं and you ask them कि जी कि आपने नाश्ता किया या नहीं किया. For instance, if you say कि आपने सुबह what you had in your breakfast, or if they are saying replying to you कि जी I didn't have my breakfast. So the next question you would be asking, why you didn't have your breakfast? आपने अपना नाश्ता क्यों नहीं किया? Then probably they will be replying कि जी the chances are कि my cupboard or my fridge was empty. So you are asking the next question. This third round of why is कि जी why your cupboard or fridge was empty? And they would be replying to you as if कि जी due to the fact I couldn't manage to go for the grocery. मैं नहीं जा सका अपने ग्रोसरी करने के लिए. Now the fourth round would be you'll be asking कि जी why you didn't went out for the grocery, अपने करने क्यों नहीं गए. Now the concept of five whys is you are repeatedly asking the question. You're trying to peel off the layers of problems. You're trying to drill down the real issue. You're trying to find out the root cause. So this five why technique will help you to reframe, will help you to reframe a problem in true sense. Probably अगर हम अपनी उसी एग्जांपल को आगे कैरी फॉरवर्ड करें, सो द इंडिविजुअल सेइंग कि जी मैं ग्रोसरी नहीं की, एंड यू आर आस्किंग कि जी ग्रोसरी क्यों नहीं की. दे वुड बी सेइंग कि जी कि इसलिए कि मेरे पास टाइम नहीं था, आई वर्क फॉर लॉन्ग आवर्स. अब इतनी बात को सुनने के बाद मतलब कि द चांसेस आर यहाँ से दो चीजें हम डिड्यूस कर सकते हैं. एक, देयर शुड बी सम सॉर्ट ऑफ प्रोडक्ट कि जो लेट वर्किंग जो कर रहे हैं, जो लेट सिटिंग्स कर रहे हैं, जो वर्किंग फॉर द लॉन्ग आवर्स, उनके लिए वी शुड बी वी कैन मैन्युफैक्चर काइंड ऑफ प्रोडक्ट कि जी दैट शुड बी ग्रैब एंड गो स्नैक बार और कुछ इस तरह की चीज की जिसको वो खाएं, एंड दैट शुड बी न्यूट्रिशियस एज वेल एंड फुलफिलिंग द न्यूट्रिशियस रिक्वायरमेंट ऑफ द बॉडी. और सेकंड जो चीज हमें या इससे और जो डिड्यूस कर सकते हैं कि देयर विल प्रोबेबली द थिंग इज कि हमें कोई इस तरह का प्लेटफॉर्म डेवलप करना चाहिए कि जो उनको ग्रोसरी, इट शुड बी ऑन द फिंगर टैप्स. कोई एप्लीकेशन हो या कोई ऐसा कोई ऑनलाइन स्टोर हम बनाएं जिससे वो कहीं पे भी बैठे हुए अपनी ग्रोसरी कर सकें, एंड द ग्रोसरी इज कमिंग डायरेक्टली टू देयर होम. सो दिस इज the two things we have deduced from this statement कि grocery नहीं कर सका due to the fact I work for long hours. So this the reason we are trying to explore this example is कि हमें पता चल जाए कि what is the concept of 5 hours. You repeatedly again and again ask the question क्यों, and that will be helping you to drill down to the real root cause. Now, the next activity which we have in front of us, it is on the same address, but the next section. And in this next section, you will be answering the 4 W's of your challenge, the challenge which you have chose, and you need to answer the 4 W's of your challenge. And I would say you must go through the example of 5 hours and apply it on your challenge. कि आपने जो अपनी product या example सोची है ज़हन के अंदर, for this we'll be giving you only 3 minutes because we are already short on time. And if you can quickly access the address and try to answer these questions for 3 minutes, please. Thank you. The very nice responses are appearing in front of me. It's good to read these responses. Uh, the thing is, why we are having this kind of activities, we want you to participate in the understanding of the concept. I don't want, मैं चाह नहीं रहा कि सिर्फ एक concept को हम discuss करें और वहाँ पर हमारा मामला इस तरीके के हो कि हम उसको practicality के अंदर देख ना सकें. So it's really nice कि आप लोग उसमें participate कर रहे हैं and you're trying to explore your horizon in terms of your problems which you have identified. Now the next step is that is ideation. When we say जी ideation, अब हमारा क्या हुआ जी, पहले हमने empathize किया, we have we have the targeted audience in front of us, we have empathized, we have conducted interviews, we have gathered all the information and data which it's in front of us. And after the first step, we have synthesized the information and we have drafted, funneled down the problems, and we have drafted a problem statement in front of us, the issues we have, uh, and the issues being faced by the end users. So now the thing is कि we have in front of us the problem. अब हमारे लिए है कि उसको सोचें कैसे, उसके क्या हल है. There is an ideation stage. Now we are trying to find out the idea. This is the third step of the design thinking. Nowadays ट्रम्प साहब बड़े अहम हैं हमारे मुआशरे में. Premier, he recently conducted a visit of US, so I have just inserted his quote. He said, "You have to think anyway, so why not think big?" It's a very wise one. कि अगर सोचना है ही सही तो the thing is कि हमें अपनी सोच को बड़ा रखना चाहिए. We need to think big. Now the ideation is all about thinking. कि you are trying to find out the solution, the optimum solution, the best solution for the problem you have identified. In ideation stage, the basic rule should be, it should be a judgment free zone. अब आप सोच रहे हैं, you are thinking about the solution of the product and you are also judging the solution which you or your colleague or anyone else has proposed. तो उस लिहाज से जो एक thinking, you will be actually breaking the train of thoughts and you would be not be allowing the other individuals or yourself to think innovatively. So जो भी हमारे इसके अंदर सोचने के हवाले से जो हमारा एक सेशन हो, उसको इट शुड बी अ जजमेंट फ्री. जो भी सजेशन आ रही हो, जैसी किसी की तरफ से हमारे पास एक रिकमेंडेशन या सजेशन हो, इट शुड बी सम सॉर्ट ऑफ थिंग कि हम उसे जज ना करें. एंड वी ट्राई टू start working on a potential solution. This is the very step where creativity happens. जो एक creative element है, जो हमारा एक बड़ा एक process था कि हम उस process से गुजर के आए हैं. We have solid understanding of our users and now we have clearly have a human-centered problem statement. So we need to find out a solution. And in terms of when we say this ideation technique, it allow us to bring forward the possible solution to the problem, and in this solution uh, would be an innovative one. And as we have already said before, कि design thinking, it's not a linear process. You can come back to the very first basic process, a very basic step of empathizing. If you have altogether mapped your understanding in a wrong direction, so you can come back to very first step and you can start it from there. If you have the understanding of the problem, you can straight away go to the prototyping without conducting the first three steps. So it's all about कि जी आपको ultimate result is you need to find a solution which or a product which is which or a business idea which you believe would be performing very well if you embark on that specific idea. So when we are saying कि ideation, how to think creatively, how to analyze creatively, there are many more uh, methodologies and techniques available. But due to the time constraint, we are going to discuss few over here just to understand how we can uh, ideate, how we can creatively think the solution of a problem. There are, like, the brainstorming. It is very common one. And if we say कि brainwright, that is also a technique. Worst possible idea, scamper, mind mapping, brain walking, and like, many more abundantly available techniques are there. But we are going to discuss these three. When we see the brainstorming, brainstorm, this is very common one. इस टेक्निक के अंदर हम कर क्या रहे होते हैं? We are actually uh, placing our issue in front of others, और वो कोई हमारे पास कोई इंडिविजुअल्स तीन चार पाँच छः जितने भी इंडिविजुअल्स का एक ग्रुप हो, वी आर सिटिंग टुगेदर एंड फोकसिंग ऑन द प्रॉब्लम. Everybody is focusing on the same problem, and whatever idea is coming in their mind, they have to just speak it out. अब ब्रेनस्टॉर्मिंग के अंदर द थिंग इज कि अक्सर औकात इस टेक्निक का जो एक साइड इफेक्ट या एक इशू है इस टेक्निक के साथ, वो ये है कि ड्यू टू द शायनेस, द इनर शायनेस, शाय फैक्टर, हम समझते हैं कि जो सजेशन या जो सोल्यूशन मैं यहाँ पे अभी बता रहा हूँ या बता रही होंगी, probably people will start judging my solution. So we have to avoid that. As I have earlier said, this whole ideation process, this is like, the judgment free zone. We don't need to judge. If we start judging, we won't be able to find a solution. So in brainstorming, this is one of the issue. uh, Everybody, whoever is thinking and providing a suggestion, they would have some sort of feeling or some sort of understanding that I have to protect my suggestion by all means, even though I'm wrong or right. But हमारी जो ownership, एक feeling of ownership of our suggestion will be like contesting it very in a very probably uh, in a very hard way. So brainstorming के अंदर ये सारा मामला चल रहा होता है. You are focusing on the problem and you are uttering the possible solution to that problem. The next technique we can discuss is it's the brain writing. अब ब्रेनस्टॉर्मिंग के जो हमने इश्यूज डिस्कस किए, उसी को मद्देनजर रखते हुए फिर एक नई टेक्निक शुरू की गई कि जिसको है, इट इज मोर और लेस सेम as brainstorming. You are sitting on the same place and you are discussing and focusing on the same problem. Everybody is there. एंड नाउ व्हाट यू आर गोइंग टू डू इज कि आपने अपने सोल्यूशन को या अपने आइडिया को या आप जो एक प्रॉब्लम को एड्रेस कर रहे हैं, उस प्रॉब्लम के जो आपका सोल्यूशन आपके जहन में आया, you wouldn't be speaking it out loudly. What you would be going to do, you would be writing on the page, you will be writing it on a paper, and you will pass it, like for example, if we say there are 10 people sitting in the room, you will pass it through your page to these 10 people. So इसका मतलब क्या हुआ कि 10 लोगों ने अपने आइडियाज को पेज पे लिखा, और 10 लोगों का जो पेज है वो बकाया 9 के हाथ से गुजर कर आएगा. अब अगर मैंने कोई एक सजेशन लिखी या सोल्यूशन लिखा, सो उस पेज को मैंने अगले बंदे को हैंड ओवर किया. अब इस बंदे ने करना क्या है कि जो सोल्यूशन मैंने प्रपोज किया है कि जैसे कि हमारी एक मेंबर ने लिखा है कि जी इशू इज विद क्लीन ड्रिंकिंग वाटर, तो उसके हवाले से जो मेरी तरफ से भी जो सोल्यूशन होगा, अब ये सोल्यूशन पेज के ऊपर लिख के मैंने अगले बंदे को दे दिया. नाउ ही वुड बी एडिंग वैल्यू टू दैट सोल्यूशन. अगर उसके लिहाज से, अगर इफ ही इज थिंकिंग कि जी जो सोल्यूशन या आइडिया जो मेरा है, इस आइडिया के अंदर ये वाली स्पेसिफिक ऑल्ट्रेशन हो जाए, या इस तरीके से मैं अपने आइडिया को चेंज कर दूं या इंक्रीमेंट कर दूं किसी एक ऐसी चीज से, तो मेरा आइडिया बेहतर हो सकता है. सो नाउ व्हाट रियली हैपनिंग इज कि हर बंदा उस एक पेज के ऊपर पहले आइडिया को बेहतर करने के लिए, उसको अच्छे अंदाज में पेश करने के लिए, उसके लिए नीचे सजेशंस लिख रहा है और उसके नीचे जनाब वो अपनी एडिशन कर रहा है। सो इसमें हो क्या रहा है, सारे लोग उसमें बड़े ही इंथुजियास्टिकली बड़ा उसमें पार्टिसिपेट भी कर रहे हैं, दे आर प्रोवाइडिंग देयर सजेशंस, और कोई बंदा इसमें अंडरमाइन भी नहीं हो रहा। सो दिस इज वन ऑफ द गुड टेक्निक एज वेल, कि जब आप ब्रेनस्टॉर्मिंग के फेज से गुजरना चाह रहे हो, यू कैन गो फॉर द ब्रेन राइटिंग एंड इट विल बी वेरी यूजफुल। अब ये जो 10 बंदों की तरफ से जो सजेशंस आई हैं हर किसी के डिफरेंट डिफरेंट पेज के ऊपर, दैट विल बी अप फॉर डिस्कशन। अब वो सारे मेंबर्स बैठ के उसके ऊपर डिस्कशन कर रहे होंगे। सो दिस इज वन ऑफ टेक्निक एज वेल। द नेक्स्ट वन इज वर्स्ट पॉसिबल आइडिया। अब ना जी, वर्स्ट पॉसिबल आइडिया, अब जब एक एक टर्म होती है दैट इज कॉल्ड द राइटर्स ब्लॉक। जो लोग मतलब है कि लिखने से या लिखारी मतलब है कि ताल्लुक रखते हैं, दे राइटिंग आर्टिकल्स और सम सॉर्ट ऑफ things, they would in fiction or anyway, they would be able to understand there is a writer's block। कि writer's block क्या है कि जी आप लिखना चाह रहे हैं, you are trying to write it down, बट आपके जहन के अंदर उस इशू के ऊपर या टॉपिक के ऊपर भी कोई बात बन नहीं रही। सो व्हाट यू रियली डू इन राइटर्स ब्लॉक, कि आप कुछ भी जहन में आ रहा हो, हाउ टू ब्रेक योर राइटर्स ब्लॉक इज, क्या कोई भी चीज आपके जहन में हो रही है, जस्ट स्टार्ट राइटिंग। आइदर वे, सही है गलत है, अभी पहले सेक्शन में आना था या दूसरे सेक्शन में आना है, बट यू स्टार्ट राइटिंग इट। when you will start writing, you will come over, you will overcome your writer's block issue। likewise कि जब आप एक ideation के phase में हो, and in ideation phase everybody would be thinking कि यार मैं अच्छे से अच्छा idea पेश करूं। अब अच्छे से अच्छे idea के सिलसिले में होगा क्या, कि there would be an ideation block। you will be thinking and negating your ideas by yourself, और फिर आप उसके हवाले से कोई एक टेक्निक आप आगे बता ही नहीं पा रहे होंगे। तो इस वजह से ये जो टेक्निक जिसको हम डिस्कस कर रहे हैं कि वर्स्ट पॉसिबल आइडिया, ये इसका बड़ा बेहतरीन इसका इलाज है, कि यू स्टार्ट राइटिंग द वर्स्ट पॉसिबल आइडिया फॉर दिस सॉल्यूशन, फॉर दिस प्रॉब्लम विच यू आर ट्राइंग टू फाइंड। कि आपने व्हील चेयर वाली जो बात हो रही है कि व्हील चेयर के हवाले से आपने जनाब इसके क्या वर्स्ट पॉसिबल आइडिया क्या हो सकता है, कि जी वी वुड बी प्राइसिंग अवर प्रोडक्ट वेरी हाई देन अवर कंपेटिटर्स। अब ये तो बुरा आइडिया है, क्योंकि अगर आप कंपेटिटर्स के ज्यादा कीमत रखेंगे, so the chances of your success are very very meager amount। तो उस लिहाज से डिफरेंट किस्म के जो वर्स्ट पॉसिबल आइडियाज होंगे, you will be start posting it on a post-it note and placing it on the canvas। फिर क्या होगा कि ultimately you will be able to recognize कि these are the few things which we shouldn't do, these are the things which we should avoid। तो फिर उससे करने से हमारा will be able to reach the optimum desired solution। so these are the few ideation techniques. There are many more, uh, but these techniques are for uh, pulling out the right solution for the problem। ठीक है जी। And the next thing is that we are going to go through a case study। This case study is in a video, and I am going to play it for you। This case study will give you a thorough understanding what this design thinking really is, and how actively it has been being pursued। I'm trying to play it right now।
Information gathering. Right. We're just starting to soak on this.
We're hoping that we can really dig into a lot of these assumptions. Welcome everyone to IDM. What we want to do is demonstrate the state-of-the-art product design and development process by redesigning the elderly walker. I'm Matt Cressy, Director of the Integrated Design and Management Program at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. The IDM program integrates design, engineering, and business. Desirability, viability, and feasibility. By combining these disciplines, we create new-to-the-world products that are desirable, feasible, viable, and sustainable. IDM brings the design process to the MIT Sloan School of Management and the School of Engineering.
I'm going to develop a new product or service, but I need some investment. Business thrives on innovation. To develop a successful new product requires a team with the technical, management, and design skills to create a competitive offering in the global market of goods and services.
Here at IDM, we teach a human-centered design process in a studio environment with a cohort comprised of designers, engineers, business people, and entrepreneurs. To fully illustrate the power of this design process, we asked our friends at Altitude, a world-class design firm in Somerville, Massachusetts, to demonstrate this process on a project.
These things have been around forever. I don't think I've ever seen a different model than this one.
My grandmother would push this thing down the hallway, 2 tennis balls on it for friction. She hated it.
There's been a shift in who composes this market.
The baby boomer generation started turning age 65 about 5 years ago.
We're in information gathering. Right. We're just starting to soak on this.
We're hoping that we can really dig into a lot of these assumptions and either prove them or disprove them.
We got more questions than answers at this point.
Yep. That might be why it's
I'd like to move it and then go to it.
Let's go explore this problem. Let's talk to those stakeholders we just mapped out. Reconvene at Altitude Studios for our next meeting and see what we uncover.
Altitude is the design and innovation consulting firm. We help our clients connect deeply with the people they serve to create the products and services that people love. We work with MIT on this video program to illustrate the process of human-centered design. This process is at the heart of everything we do at Altitude. We believe that through a deeper understanding of people, we can identify and create more successful solutions for people, companies, and society.
Accenture helps companies develop new, smart connected products, services, and business models. The starting point for innovation is truly understanding people and how we can create meaningful value.
To start, we begin by reviewing existing products and try and see it from the user's point of view.
Yeah, great.
Please, David.
Yeah.
Hey, June, what do you find?
So interesting to see.
So the brake isn't really working here.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
There's more than just your typical walker. There's kind of your standard walker. You've got a rolling walker, but then you've got these things with a rollator and then different versions of rollators.
So when I walk for a longer distance, I feel very tired. And lately, I feel I need to be very careful about my balance. Let's go to Suma together.
Meeting with people who use walkers, we talk, interview, observe, and empathize. We try to get into their world and see it through their eyes.
But I still like my type. Because you have sturdy wheels, good storage compartment for whatever you need to carry, and also you can sit down on the seat.
Empathy. Design thinking is a human-centered approach. We truly connect with the people we are trying to serve. We try to understand them at an emotional level and what's going on with their lives and what really matters to them.
When you just walk around, it doesn't matter how heavy it is. It's only when you want to transport it, you want to like it.
Coming here to North Hill today, we're able to observe how walkers fit into their lives and really understand what's important to them. The interviews help us develop empathy for the people we're trying to understand.
Very often the walker that's issued, that's paid for by insurance, has small wheels, and they often have rubber tips at the back. So they're really difficult to go over a smooth surface. And it just becomes more difficult for them to push. So they start to look at different options.
The gates, a lot of times I will teach people to walk heel toe and not shuffle, to pick up their feet. A lot of times people feel like if they have a walker, they don't need to pick up their feet.
To understand what it's like to be someone buying a walker, you need to experience how they are sold. What are the people buying walkers looking for?
Nobody likes the idea of, geez, now I'm at the point in my life that I need to use a walker or rollator. So they come in and their first thing is, oh, I just want the basic, something very simple, something that's not going to bring a lot of attention to myself. So they usually want to look at a standard walker. However, in other cases, they're kind of beyond that, and they need something with 4 wheels, a seat, and something that has a braking system, which is very important. The rollators have that braking system. A standard walker does not.
We went to Jim's house. He showed us around a little bit.
Through an analysis of the interviews, patterns emerge that uncover meaningful insights and inform the opportunity.
You can see that he doesn't even really use his walker. He was prescribed one. He was actually given it from his physical therapist. He'll only use the walker when he goes outside. But even when he does do that, he still does it begrudgingly.
So it looks like they tape the baskets to the lockers.
The basket is actually a symbol of freedom, that they can go out of their room for however long they need to. This was added onto the walker after he had already received it from the health insurance company.
This is Judy. We met Judy in a assisted living facility in Marlboro. As you can see, she had a knee replacement.
By creating a persona of the people interviewed, the design team paints a picture of how the walker fits into their lives and maps their journey over time.
One of the interesting things about Judy was that she was prescribed a walker, but she was given a rollator by her children. She still has her walker, but she's using it right now as a kind of a laundry carrier. Also, she's shying away from a traditional walker, even though that's what's been prescribed to her, because she's more eager to use something that may look a little more modern.
So, folks, we've been talking a lot about the different people that we met and that we've been able to gain a glimpse into their life. What I'd love to do right now is have each of you really take some time to look at what are some key themes that emerge for you guys.
The more stability you add to a walker, the more cumbersome it becomes.
And when you put wheels on a walker, generally the front wheels are stationary.
It felt more like something to really own, and walkers did not.
Some people feel like this is an anchor when they thought it was going to free them up. The other one was really just more mobility than they could handle.
This is really about recuperation. This is about getting around. We need something that's really a mobilizer.
It's a great idea. So something in between the two. And maybe we can even get away from kind of this medical look, give it a little bit more lifestyle. But I think next steps is we really want to start to articulate what that mobilizer is. Now, having clearly articulated our target user and established the emotional and functional requirements for the new walker, we've identified the opportunity and reframed it. Current walkers favor stability over mobility. Rollators are just the opposite, and more than many can safely manage. By reframing the opportunity, our product will provide mobility along with stability. We call this new product a mobilizer. Brainstorming brings fresh energy, new perspectives, and thinking to the opportunity. We welcome the fun, wacky, creative. It's a structured free-for-all that gives everyone a chance to throw out ideas. Yep. We had rotating back wheels. Yep.
I have pump handles and blades to the kind of ergonomic. Great.
This triangular column.
Right when we had a caster that moved up and down, so we like even stopped.
Or even steerable wheels. Like was
Yeah, you compare that with rear locking wheels.
By grouping ideas into common themes, patterns emerge and concepts develop.
Pull the canes out.
The culture of Innovate, with a non-hierarchical structure, encourages everyone to contribute ideas. We believe creativity thrives in free environment. A lot of the process is about collaboration and working together. But focused exploration and individual deep thinking are also critical to the development of meaningful concepts.
You can't expect to get it right on the first try. Before falling in love with our ideas, we get physical fast by sketch modeling.
Quick prototyping, even the crudest of models, is a great form of experimentation. And by building to learn, you're able to fail early and fail often, significantly advancing the quality of the ideas.
We had a brainstorm a few weeks ago. We got together, we developed some early ideas.
Coming back together, we pen up the work and share the concepts.
Just as a unibody concept.
The goal is to build on ideas or bring two ideas together to make them even better.
So we're trying to incorporate seat and storage because that enables people to leave the house with their stuff.
What we need to do now is we need to boil this down, right? We can't bring all of these forward. We're going to have to make some selections. So what I'd like to recommend is if we could do some multi-voting here, put the dots on the ones that you think are going to work the best for us. All right, well, this is interesting, guys. It looks like we got some consensus. So we're going to get these in front of consumers so that we can actually get some real feedback.
Here we go. All right, so this is the first one I'm going to show you. It's an off-the-shelf one that has this braking system in it.
Ideas are only successful if they work for the people who use them.
There's a concept here that's just thinking more about some different ergonomics.
This allows you to see solutions through their eyes, to know what's working, what's not, and why.
These things could be a little bit back, like about half an inch or so.
We learn from our users, incorporating their feedback into our designs.
We're going to lay out a continuum here.
So we met again with Susan and Paul to conduct resonance testing. What did they think of our ideas?
All right, concept C.
That you have this wheel in the back.
Okay.
So I put it right here. Oh, here.
Where's maneuverability most important?
Well, making your way through a dining room.
Okay.
Getting feedback is critical to understanding where they see the real value.
How about the C?
Here, you test to learn and to understand, so ideas can be improved. You're not testing to see which one wins.
We've recently just come out of resonance testing. We created a bunch of concepts that we brought forward, and what we'd like to do is share some of those insights that we have with you.
One of the questions she asked on each one is, how do you fold this up?
The more stable it is, the faster they can go. And she talked about it as an exercise tool.
Because she even asked at one point, where's the brake on this?
She had a kind of a clear grip area. I think that's another thing we need to make sure.
And things here that people really keyed in on, that seat coming down. I think, especially people who roll laters, that's just kind of this expectation.
So Matt and Brian, what I'm hearing the team say is they're focusing in on 6 key attributes that we want to pull from these concepts forward into a next concept. Folding seat, the swivel log caster, which is what provides the combination of stability and mobility, a bag to personalize. It's got to be a folding portable architecture. For that reason, we want to go with a column. And of course, we're going to design aesthetics that make this feel more like something that they purchase for themselves, that they want to own rather than a medical device.
Intuitively, it looks great. Feasibility, I see a lot of moving parts, different materials. I see parts that may be cast. The extrusions look pretty good. I think that's doable, but I'm worried about the cost.
Next stages are going to tell us everything, right? They're going to take all those attributes, you play with them. Next iteration, go back and test again, and I'm assuming it'll be 3-dimensional.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to want to look at some build.
So at that point, that'll tell us a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
Great.
And now it's time to address the feasibility of our ideas. Creating a proof of concept model identifies the technical problems.
By building, testing, and learning, iterative cycles build confidence in the concepts.
I'm wondering if I can get, just from you guys, an idea of feasibility for these 2 concepts. This one having kind of that automated or motorized base, and this one being a little bit more manual, maybe a cable assembly to help release the base.
We have to deploy the seat. We could work a mechanism in if there's a cable like a bike brake.
Yeah.
That when you pull this down,
Okay, so the seat would engage that brake.
yeah. And then once they sit, their weight applies, and it'll be all 4 points like a chair.
Have you been making any progress on that rear caster?
Linda and I were talking about having the simplicity of just a flexure and it flexing.
Nice. What material are you thinking for that?
Some sort of PCABS. We want to make sure we still keep that the springiness.
Okay, it sounds like we have a clear path forward with this one.
Yeah.
Consumer walkers have like, or even rollators have some sort of like.
Designs are assessed for desirability by testing with real customers. Feasibility is checked by engineers through analysis and prototyping. Then, viability looks at the value proposition from a business perspective. By analyzing estimates of the costs, such as engineering, tooling, and production expenses, as well as estimates of the revenues from product sales and services, we build a business model for each product offering. This lets us assess which ones may be viable from a business standpoint.
We review our choices and implications, and then choose a final direction.
Beautiful. Okay, awesome, great.
The devil is in the details of the execution. Fine-tuning the details is the key to delivering innovation that will be both scalable and valued.
Fabricating parts makes the design a reality. Bringing shape to the new, you feel it in your hands, but also in your heart and in your head as well.
Well, I feel like I can navigate tight corners pretty well.
Walker here.
Yeah, there she is.
Finally, we put the product in the hands of the people we are designing for. The real value will be in making a difference in their lives.
I think this is very nice, good style. I like the bag and I like the color scheme.
Want to give it a test drive? Don't go too fast.
This one looks like a fashion statement for somebody who is an executive coming out of a meeting or something. Very nice. If this rocks the wheel, that's wonderful.
Material and displaces it.
Just as Altitude develops great products, our mission at MIT is to develop leaders who inspire others and who innovate, create the future.
When we started this process, we could not have envisioned the solution we ended up with. The process gives you the structure to develop ideas that are not self-evident at the beginning and leads you to solutions that could not have otherwise been achieved.
What do you think of that?
I think it's very nice.
Does it look stable enough to you?
Yeah.
So when I look at this, it makes me want to use it. It makes me want to touch it. It makes me kind of proud to own it, and hopefully something that has a meaningful impact in people's lives.
Well, this was a case study. You have seen all these steps of design thinking in action, and they were being used. So this is the real purpose कि हम वो चीजें बनाना चाह रहे हैं जो उन प्रोडक्ट्स की तरफ जाएं, उन बिजनेस आइडियाज को हम एक्सप्लोर करें और अनटैप करें जिनको एक ट्रेडिशनली नहीं देखा जा रहा. अब उस सोच के लिए और उस तरह के आइडिया को लेके आने के लिए वी नीड टू एम्प्लॉय दीज काइंड ऑफ टेक्निक्स, डिजाइन थिंकिंग. सो अभी हमारे जो स्टेप्स हुए इसमें हम देख रहे हैं कि इट वाज अ कंप्लीट केस स्टडी. इसको शुरू में रखने का मकसद ये था कि कुछ स्टेप्स हमारे जहन में क्लियर हो जाएं. सो नेक्स्ट 2 स्टेप्स वुड बी कि वो आइडिएशन के बाद व्हाटएवर यू हैव द आइडिया, व्हाटएवर सॉल्यूशन यू हैव डिसाइडेड, the best solution for you end user. अब उसका सिर्फ खाली एक बेहतर अंदाज में उसका एक solution आइडिया की स्टेज तक रखना, this is not sufficient. we need to transfer this idea into the tangible product. Like we said earlier, कि जिस तरीके से हमारे जो principles हैं, the principle on which design thinking is standing, one of that is tangibility. कि आपका जो आइडिया है, यू हैव टू पुट इट इनटू द प्रोटोटाइप. आप कोई एप्लीकेशन बना रहे हैं, कोई फिजिकल, जैसे कि ये इन्होंने कोई वॉकर बनाया है, उस वॉकर की अगर आपको बनाना चाह रहे हैं, यू मस्ट हैव टू पुट इट थ्रू द प्रोटोटाइपिंग. अब प्रोटोटाइपिंग के अंदर हो क्या रहा होता है, बेसिकली आप उसका शुरू से लेकर आखिर उसकी प्रोडक्शन तक, इट इज अ काइंड ऑफ scaled down version of the product or service which you are proposing for the end user. अब वो बनाया जाता है. उससे आपको एक तो 3 डायमेंशनल आपकी जो प्रोडक्ट का एक्चुअल वायबिलिटी या फिजिबिलिटी या उसकी मतलब कि यू विल बी एबल टू टच इट. इफ यू आर in digital world, if you are saying कि जी हम कोई ऑनलाइन सोल्यूशन बना रहे हैं या ऑनलाइन कोई सर्विसेज बना रहे हैं, you must have to develop a beta version or alpha version, and you have to give it to the end user, the real human beings who are going to use your services to the targeted audience. तो उस लिहाज से हमें एक सही माने में बनिस्बत कि हम एक आइडिया आने के बाद वी स्टार्ट इन्वेस्टिंग बिग अमाउंट्स फॉर अचीविंग दैट प्रोडक्ट, it's better to just manufacture one, even it's a scaled down version, but it makes sense. So prototyping, it's very necessary. आप अपने ideas को you are turning it into a tangible product. इससे आपको अपने प्रोडक्ट के अंदर जो फ्लॉज हैं, जो कंस्ट्रेंट्स हैं, that would be appearing in front of you. Now, when you have this product in front of you, you can give it, like in the case study, they have provided the walker to the end users, which was Susan and the elderly guy. तो उन्होंने उस चीज को देखा and they have provided their feedback. In prototyping, this is the big advantage. You give it to the end user and they provide you the actual feedback, what they feel about your product, what they feel about your services, and you will be instantly able to measure the success or flaws or issues with your product or services. So in prototyping, once we manufacture our product, we have the feedback in front of us. फिर उससे अगर if it is a positive feedback, and if you feel like कि जी prototyping होगी है, now it should be go out for the testing. और and अगर आपको अपने प्रोटोटाइपिंग के दौरान ही if you feel like कि जो मटेरियल हम यूज कर रहे हैं that is not durable, और अगर हम कोई कस्टमर फैसिलिटेशन की अप्रोच को लेकर चल रहे हैं और उसकी कॉस्ट इंक्रीज कर रही है, and then we are able to understand and have a clear vision in front of us कि जी ये चीज तो feasible ही नहीं है, that wouldn't be selling in good numbers. So these are the benefits of the prototypes. Now, once we have completed this prototype stage, the last stage is the test stage. And it is a common saying in the school, prototype as if you know you are right, and but test as if you are wrong. कि आपने प्रोटोटाइप तो इस जज्बे के तहत बनाना है कि हाँ जी जो मेरा आइडिया है दैट इज ओके, यही चीज है, ऐसे ही होगा. क्योंकि अगर हम अपने आइडिया के ऊपर ही क्वेश्चन मार्क लगा के बैठ जाएं, जस्ट पुटिंग क्वेश्चन मार्क ऑन आवर आइडिया, हाउ वी वुड बी गोइंग टू manufacture or get a final product as a prototype. But when we are going for the testing, it could be a very ruthless feedback. The feedback could be really daunting. Uh, the end user, they would be expressing their own opinion. But the thing is, this harsh reality is for your benefit. That would be appearing in front of you. You will be able to use this feedback to improve your product or services. So when we go into the test stage, we give it to the real users and we get their feedback. Once we get the feedback, we redefine one or more problems. If the feedback is pointing out कि जी आपके product के अंदर ये मसले हैं, ये issues हैं, if these issues are resolved, I'll be willing to subscribe for your service or buy your product. So it's all about engaging the feedback, inform the understanding of the users. आपके सामने आपके यूजर्स की जो उन्होंने इस चीज के हवाले से आपको एक फीडबैक दी है, you must give it back in very honest way to, if you are not in the ideation stage, or if you are not in the empathize or defining the problem statement stage, you must give this feedback honestly to those who are in that stage. It gives you the conditions of use, how people think, behave, feel, and to empathize. In our case study, we have seen when they have their hands on that walker, how confident the users were and how happy they were to use this walker. So this is something. This whole process, design thinking. If you are at test stage, you find the flaws. If these flaws are relevant to your idea, if these flaws are relevant to your manufacturing and prototyping, if they could be relevant to the problem statement, it is very possible. The chances are the problem which you have identified, or the problem which you have framed, in real terms, probably that wouldn't be a problem at all. They would be happy to go through a certain phase. So every single step from the very beginning, from empathy to this test stage, even like earlier I said, there are different steps, different models are being used. Some consider 4 steps and some consider 5. It ranges to the 8 steps as well, different to different schools. But one of the step is also, if we but we are following this D school uh, design thinking model. So these are the 5 steps. In other design thinking approaches, there one step that is known as the implement stage. Now you have tested your product, now you need to implement it, you need to pull this off very successfully, and give it to end users, and establish it, implement it. But this is all about the design thinking. This design thinking, we all now understand, is very important for entrepreneurs, for the established businesses, for from any field. If you are working somewhere and you're facing certain problem, you can evaluate that with this criteria of the design thinking, and you can establish a solution which can suit you and which can help you in running your day-to-day errands. So these are the things, this technology, this approach, this would be making your life very easier, and allowing you to find a solution which probably without this approach you wouldn't be able to find it, because this is all about the innovation. And when we say innovation, it is very necessary. You need to set aside your assumptions, you need to unlearn, you need to allow the ambiguity to drive you through to the ways which you haven't explored before. So this is all about the design thinking, and that's not the all of the concept. Is many more things relevant to design thinking, but this session was about giving you the slightest introduction, and enabling you to think about the problems, to evaluate the problems and find the solutions innovatively, creatively. So I hope it was a very useful session for all of you, and I'm really thankful to all of the participants. Uh, uh, and if you have any questions, you can surely write it down, the questions in the question box. I'll be happy to take your question, but only 1 or 2 questions is already uh, 10 minutes or 8 minutes to 7 p.m.